I want to thank you very much for coming. I want to thank you very, very much for being our speaker. And this is the final session. A lot has been said about the wondrous and wonderful things that what you've taught them have brought in their lives and in their non-governmental organizations. So, gentlemen and ladies, please welcome Timmy the Law as he takes over right now. Okay, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for holding forth. And thanks to everyone. Apologies that I, was late considering I was held up in another meeting and then had to navigate. Apologies, please. Today is the final session, and as much as possible, we're going to try to exhaust the length and the breadth of this particular final session. And in that context, I will be doing a sharing of yes. So good, I can share. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it, and for the feedback as well. Feedback is the launch of champions since we're in the afternoon. Okay. Yes. So I want to quickly share this, and then we can start off.
Can you share?
Yes, I think I can share, but I don't know why. Let me delete this off first. I think I can share a particular screen. Okay, great. Good. So I hope please, can you see what I just shared? Our learning module for today. Thank you. So, turn off my, yeah, precisely. So our learning module for today basically dovetails into unit 5 and 6. Okay, can everyone mute, please? It seems someone's voice is bouncing back. Thank you. Yeah, so we're going to be dealing with unit 5 and unit 6. And these are very important times. And so I would, implore us as much as possible to carefully take time to digest some of these things even afterwards, because conversation enriches the understanding, but solitude is the school of geniuses. So to make the best use of some of these things, as we take note, please, I want us to reflect on them as we go back, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a continuous, consistent process. And so in unit 5, we're going to be discussing developing strategies, goals, and objectives. That's unit 5. And under that, we're going to define strategies, goals, and objectives. We're going to assess critical issues as it relates to strategies, goals, and objectives in your organization. And then we're going to select primary strategies. And then in that context, we're going to deal with 3 key issues: defining these core terms in more practical application. And then second, we're going to talk about strategies and goals. And then lastly, we're going to dwell so much on developing an annual operating plan. And I might be able to share with you, what's it called? A sample annual operating plan, and connect the dots between goals and objectives and your annual operating plan. So that's what we're going to be doing for Unit 5. Unit 6, we're going to be looking at strategic plan, writing strategic plan. We're going to look what are the core elements, right, in a strategic plan, as we've discussed some of these things, but we're going to see them, and then we're going to take some of these samples and look at them and use them as a guide in that context. But take note that it is just a template. It is not, once you have the bullet points of what should be your strategic, shoot it in a way that is more applicable to you. that I might take a bit more out of your time than 11, perhaps, if we need to answer questions in that sense. So that is it. Now, starting with the context of developing strategy, goals, and objectives. If I ask us what strategies are, what goals are, what objectives are, I'm sure we will all have an answer for this, right? It's nothing complex in that sense. But I want to now break it down into the context of your organization, whether as a nonprofit or social enterprise. Now, what is strategy, or what are strategies? Now, look at strategies as plan to create value. Plan to create what? Value. Please take the notes, value, and take note of the word create, and take note of the word plans. And I'm going to break down the context of value because that's a key word in strategy. And you're going to see that another word for strategy is value, right? So strategy is plans to create value, right? And you can create value by maybe increasing the impact on beneficiaries, increasing the number of beneficiaries, quantitative or qualitative increase, that's in numbers or in impact. And what are the beneficiaries? Those that are benefiting from what your nonprofit social enterprise has to offer, right? It could be women, it could be children, it could be, whatever, institutions of government, whatever it is. It could be men, it could be youths, whatever that demography is. So your plan to increase value or create value for that demo is strategy. It could be strategy, could be the plan to create value in terms of funding. Like I like to say, fund is fundamental to fund any mental thing, right? So it's key, right? So it could also be plans to create value in terms of impact, increasing impact. These are contexts within nonprofits, but in terms of businesses, you're looking at profitability. You're also looking at perhaps sustainability, which is applicable to even both profit and non-profit social enterprise. So plans to create value. Now look at strategy as, those things that I mentioned, like increase profit, increase impact, get funding, increase beneficiary, numbers. The point there is that all these things are endpoints. They are results. And strategy is how you reach those endpoints. Strategy is how you reach those results. Strategies are observable metrics, right? Observable metrics. And look, you can create value for beneficiaries or customers. You can also create value for your team or for your staff. Because the quality of your staff or the value that your staff gets can also reflect on how they treat others that are your customers. So there's a saying now that customer is king, but the staff is queen. And the way you pamper the queen will determine how the king will be treated. And so you can create value for your beneficiaries, for your customers, for your team. Because I see a lot of organizations that are focused on creating value for beneficiaries, but not realize that you also must be strategic about your team, create value for your team. You can also create value for stakeholders, right? Those are categories in which you can create value for. However, I want to break down the context of value into something that is more relatable in terms of, we've said strategy is planned to create value. So I want to explain value in some sense, right? In some sense. And I want you to follow me in this way. I hope you can see, let me turn on my video. Let me stop sharing so that you can see my video more appropriately. And then, yeah. I want you to see my video because I want to describe something. Can you see me, please? It's a little bit blurred, but can you see me? Can you see my fingers? Can you see my fingers?
Yes, we can.
My 5 fingers, right?
We can see.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, I want you to look at your 5 fingers. Your 5 fingers, look at them. We're going to use 4 out of those fingers, just 4, to explain the context of value. And for those of us who are, yes, just use 4. I just need 4, as long as you can hear me, 4 of those fingers. I don't know why it's blurry, but just 4 of those fingers, any 4, pick any 4 of those fingers, right? I want us to explain the context of value from this. Now, one of those fingers, let's give one of those fingers problem, right? One of those fingers problem. Now, let's give the second finger solution, right? Now, let's give the third finger value. And let's give the fourth finger wealth. So I want you to repeat them. What do we have? First finger is what? Second finger is what? Third finger is what? I'm watching the centers to see if our mouths will move. And then the fourth finger is what? Good. So we have problems, we have solution, we have value, and we have wealth. 4 fingers. Now, you can see that it's a sequence, right? If you are looking for some of the wealthiest countries in the world, or you are looking for the reason why a country, Nigeria, is in a state of poverty, as it were, whereas it is in the midst of abundance, this might provide the solution. If you're looking to define what the context of value is and how important value is, this might be the way. So please follow me. Now, you have problems. When problem in the court of law marries with solution, what you then have equals to what? Value. So value equals problem meets plus solution equals value. If there is no problem, there is no need for a solution. Problem can be problem that exists that nobody even puts their imagination to. For example, typewriters were existing before computers, but people never figured out maybe that they needed some means to be able to type faster than and easier than a typewriter. But when someone saw the need that, okay, this seems like a problem, let's create computers. People now started seeing typewriter as a problem. Using typewriter as a problem. So sometimes problems are not in the surface seen as problem until a solution is created, right? So, but there must be a solution solving a problem, or else, you cannot have value. So problem plus solution equals value. Mathematicians in the house, please follow me. Problem plus solution equals value, right? Now, value equals to wealth. Now, when you create value, you create opportunities for wealth. Wealth is beyond money. You know that. You create opportunities for wealth. So the challenge in Nigeria that we have abundance but poverty is that we are not creating value because solution is always minusing problems, or problems do not have solutions to solve them. Remove wealth from the equation, leave the 3. Problem plus solution equals value. Now, for the sake of internet, let me look off my video now. Now, when you look at that, you look at your finger, problem plus solution, you join them, equals value, right? And so in that context, that tells you that what is strategy? Strategy is plans to create value, but really strategy is plans to identify problems and find solutions. That's what strategy is. Because if you can identify problem and find solutions to that problem, you've created value, right? And so I wanted us to understand that from that simplistic mathematical or whatever context that we may look at it from in that sense. Now, let's now give a more maybe business point of view to strategy, strategy too has been described as, like to value, because value strategy is a plan to create value. Now let's give a more business point of view to value. Now, value is the willingness to receive, meeting the willingness to give. I don't want us getting confused there, right? Willingness to receive. So, for example, you're an NGO, and your willingness to give. In other words, that solution to that community. The willingness to give refers to, do you have the capacities in place? For example, is your team in place and motivated to do the work? Do you have the right tools in place to be able to make the impact that they need? So your willingness to receive, the willingness to receive on the part of the beneficiaries, and the willingness to give on your part as a non-profit, the meeting point is what creates what? Value. So in order to create value, you need to understand what is the willingness to receive on the part of beneficiaries, and what is the willingness to give on your own part. What do you need to meet what their needs are? For a social enterprise or a business, value can be your willingness, the willingness of customers to pay versus the willingness to sell. Now, willingness to pay, our customers, do they see that this is worth buying? And then you as a company or social enterprise, do you have the necessary, have you put your product or service in a way, are they produced, is your team set in a way that they can offer them what they are ready to pay for, right? In terms of service. So the meeting point of this thing is what creates value, right? And so for a business, you need to understand what is the willingness of people to pay? What is the willingness of people to receive? In other words, what are their core needs or wants? And then what is our willingness to give or sell? Do we have the right team in play, the right tools, the right services, the right products that meet it? Now, when there is an increase, right, in the willingness to receive or pay for a product or service or an impact project, and that willingness to receive is met by increased willingness to give, high value is created. So for example, right, if someone, and some of the things that create some of these things, for example, if something is popular, for example, Instagram getting popular increases people's willingness to join the platform. It boosts their psyche to want to receive or pay for, get involved, pay with their time in this sense, since you don't pay in profit, in finance, but in time for that, right? So those are core issues that it could also be in terms of the core service itself, right? Is it something that is a scarce stuff? Is it something that they actually need? So it starts with that understanding of value. Now, when it comes to willingness to receive or the willingness to give or the willingness to pay and the willingness to sell, right? You look at the quality of the product or service or the impact, the relevance. Is it relevant to the customers, to the beneficiaries, right? Do you have a network effect that can increase adoption? For example, when iPhone first started, not so many people were using it. But then when a lot of people started using it, people now started getting iPhone for the sake of, oh, it is iPhone, not necessarily even understanding the functionality of what iPhone can offer as against an Android, right? So those are key issues: quality, relevance, network effect, and that is based on the customer or the beneficiary. So value strategy starts with the beneficiaries or the customer. strategy does not start with the organization thinking, it starts with the end goal in mind, which is the beneficiaries of the customers. And then looking inwards to see your willingness to also give or sell that particular service or product or projects in terms of impact. Now that's it. Now let me give a more clearer example from I would like to, some of the best case study globally for this kind of stuff about strategy is basically Best Buy. I don't know if many of us know Best Buy, but if you know you're aware of Best Buy, please can I see like a wave of your hands? Best Buy. You've heard of Best Buy, an electron Best Buy. Okay, I think I've seen some hands. Now, Best Buy, they deal in all kinds of electronic stuff, right? And their core competitor is Amazon. But Best Buy operated sort of thousands of stores across the United States for electronics. But Amazon, with a click of the button, they can deliver down to your house. So for a certain 4-month period, Best Buy lost over $1 billion. And people felt that, look, this is the doom of Best Buy as it stands. These guys cannot recover. Amazon has come to take over the market, and that is usually the challenge. For example, there are some eateries that were big deal, Mr. Biggs of those days, Tantalizers of those days, right? And now maybe Cold Stone has taken over their business, or some other places, some Booker Hut somewhere has taken over their business, right? So these things happen, right? You remember Nokia of those days, Kodak of those days, and then you remember even BlackBerry. So competitors always come on board. And so what did Best Buy do? The board decided to get a new CEO who is involved in strategy. And that new CEO, what he did was this. He looked at Best Buy and said, okay, it seems we talked about strategy being about value. So they asked the question of value. Strategy is not about being wise, being over savvy. It's about value. And so they thought through, how do we create more value for our customers? And so what did they do, right? They simply did this. They ensured that they went to companies, right? They first turned all their stores to warehouses. So whatever you need from Best Buy is shipped from your closest Best Buy store. Whatever you need there is shipped from there, warehouses, rather than just stores. So the staff then had to focus more on warehousing, much more than, store-related customer service. They now secondly approached companies that are into electronics, the iPhones and the likes, and said, look, instead of you having a store in each location, why don't you have a store inside Best Buy? So it's cheaper for you. So you have most of us that work in co-creation hubs, like CC Hub, where you have an American CC Hub. I'm sure American CC Hub is here, right? So I'm CC Hub, yes, American Corner. I believe you're somewhere. So you have CC Hub, those are hubs, right? So they created a hub model for electronic businesses. So the companies, Samsung, everybody have a store, a small outlet in Best Buy. So what then happened is that the staff of Best Buy now focuses on managing the hub and the warehouse than focusing on attending to customers. That was how Best Buy shut up. And then they are competing favorably with Amazon. Right. So they looked at it that, okay, they don't have staff strength. If they look at it, their willingness to sell or to give may be limited because of staff strength. So what other approaches? They looked at the customer and the beneficiaries. How can we increase the relevance of Best Buy to them? Right? And that is how they solved that challenge and changed the business model from understanding that strategy is not about being wise, it's about value, value, value. So the next time you're trying to negotiate the next, for instance, you have a place to get to, as simple as it is after this event, and you know, like the Lagos hold up, those in the Lekki window, you understand, right? The Lagos hold up from Lekki to mainland. Reducing time, you're reducing value, value, and that is simply it. And value starts with the customers, or or the beneficiaries in that sense. So that is that for that. Now let's move, because it's important to understand strategy in that context, or else we would have a challenge with understanding some of these these words, and sometimes we're not able to apply it particularly to our context. Let's look at the context of goals. We know what goals are, right? You set a goal. You set that. That's something that you look forward towards. But let me now break it down a bit more. Goals are observable metrics, milestones. And in that context, let me tell you the importance of, so when you have a vision, the big ideas, you are seeing the future. Remember, vision sees where you want to be, right? Vision. And then you now turn those vision into metrics, milestones, right? And goal setting is very important, whether for an individual or for an organization. And goal writing is equally more important than goal setting. Now, let me give you why this is. In 1979, they did a research of Harvard students, MBA students. So they asked them about their goals, and they discovered that 84%, right, of the population do not have goals. They're in Harvard. How can you imagine that MBA students in Harvard do not have goals, right? Or do not have clear goals. And some of us can be like that with our organizations, if not even our lives. We don't have a set goal. Every wind, we are moved by every wind that blows, from the Atlantic called life. And so they took it, that research, 1979, MBA students, 84%, no clear goals or no goals at all. 13%, right? Remember, 84%, no clear goals or no goals at all. 13% have goals. You can see they can articulate it, but they've not written it down. I mean, not written in the mind now. I mean, with pen and paper, or written it down, whether in your notepad or something, right? So if you have 84% not clear goals and no goals at all, 13% goals but not written, how many percent is left? How many percent? That's 3% left, right? So 3% of this class, they discovered, had clear goals and were also written down. 1979. By 1989, a decade after, they went back to do a research on these students, for those that were still alive at that time, right? 20% of the class who had goals earned twice as much as the 84% with no goals or no clear goals. So the 13% who had goals but not written earned twice as much as those without clear goals or without goals. Were just pushed by the Atlantic called life, right? And so they now also discovered that 3%, that's the 3% with clear and written goals, makes 10 times as much as the whole 84% and 30%, that's 97% put together. Can you see how they did that. Now, their focus was basically in terms of profitability, in terms of how much you make. So you might say, oh, well, in other aspects of their life, they may not be, but that's something we are just assuming. But in the context of earning capacity, that one was clear, that those who had clear goals and wrote it down earned 10 times as much as the remaining 97 who either had goals and did not write it or did not have clear goals, 10%, And so it emphasizes the importance of goal setting and goal writing. Now, the third part in this context, we talked about strategies, we've talked about goals. Now let's move to objectives. Now, objectives are specifically intended outcomes from the goals. They are targets to achieve goals, and they are performance driven. And so you can have one goal with several objectives, right? So let me give you a more general example with a nonprofit. For example, if you have a goal to impact beneficiaries, a simple, goal to impact beneficiaries, right? And then how do you intend to impact beneficiaries? Objectives. You're going to maybe perhaps take out surveys to understand the needs of the beneficiary, because you must understand their needs before you can impact, right? You're saying that, okay, you want to ensure that you market your products or your projects in a way that it reaches the right beneficiaries that actually need it, that can help you improve on impact. And so these are core issues. You can have one goal, but several objectives. And I'm going to go into examples of these things soon. But let me talk about the fact that, look, objectives are broad statements. It identifies what problems to address. That is what objectives. That's what goals does. They are broad statements. The goals are broad statements, and they identify what problem to address. So in other words, your goals must be a product of your problem statement. You cannot have a goal different from the problem you're trying to solve, right? So that is it. Then objectives are the way in order to achieve that broad statement. The way. So let me give a recent example with Toby Amosun. I think that's the name, right? The world record, our proudly Nigerian products, made in Nigeria and also made in America. Let's add that small too. But then Toby Amosun was, a goal would have been one, right? To become first position in the 100 meters, whatever, at the so and so, race. That's one goal. Second goal might have been also not just to become first, but also to ensure that she breaks the world record set at so time. That's the second goal, right? Broad statements trying to address a problem. Now, how does she now achieve those goals, objectives? She might now say, okay, in order to become first, it means that I must practice, right, regularly, such that, I am able to increase my stamina to be able to go the long haul at a fast speed. That's it. So practicing. It could also be dieting. I observe what I eat to ensure that I eat the right food that, so those are the objectives of the ways she wants to achieve those goals. That it is specific. The M means that the objectives are measurable. The A means that they are achievable or attainable. The R means that they are realistic. The T means that they are time-bound. Now, let me now break it much more down. S there means that your objectives are clear, they are specific, they are clear, crystal clear, right? The M, which means measurable, right? You can see it. You can see what you want to achieve. Sights, right? The A there is achievable. That is to say, is it visible? Is it viable? Right? Then the R there has to do with, in terms of, is it attainable? Right? And the T there has to do with time frame. What time frame are you setting this objective? And it's very key. And when you're setting objectives, please ensure that your objectives are action words, action verbs. You know, a verb is a doing word or an action word. But emphasis with the adjective, action verbs. An example includes creates, right? Identify, right? Promotes. And those are key things. So several activities under the goal constitute what your objective should be. And so that's it. Now, let me give an example of a nonprofit goal. Right, let me use Ibadan. Let me use Oyo State, since I'm proudly. Now, goal number one, let's say you have a goal to improve the mental health of young women and men under 40 years in Oyo State, right? Or in the 33 local governments in Oyo State through mental health counseling. Can you see? That's a goal. And it's SMART. And what is that goal? Improve the mental health of young women and men under 40 years in the 33 local governments in Oyo State through mental health counseling. Now, that is a goal. But then in order to achieve that goal, objectives could be one. Remember, verb. Action verb, promote. So let's use the word promote, for example. To promote mental health awareness through seminars in each local government area in Oyo State by the end of 2023. That's an objective. Two, another objectives could be, to serve, or let's use build, to build the capacity of 5 local councillors in each local government to help serve as go-to councillors in close proximity to those who need mental health services by 2022, right? You can see those are objectives under that goal. Third could be to establish mental health centers within the 33 local government areas of Oyo State to serve as communities for persons with mental health issues and to serve as counseling centers, right? Accessible mobile line that are derivable from the goals. And so that brings us sort of to the end of our definitions on the context of, let me go back to, yes, the sharing, yes. Under the context of defining, right, defining the context of strategies, goals, and objectives. Strategies, goals, and objectives. Now we're going to move to the next one after we've done that. But before that, I want to say that, you see, when it comes to this particular, you must understand that strategy and goals, or strategic goals, is basically value-driven metrics, value-driven metrics, measurable metrics. And so in that context, If you say, oh, go develop strategic goals, you've known that strategy is value, goals are metrics, objectives are how you want to achieve those metrics, right? Now, let's now bring that into the context of developing an annual operating plan, an annual operating plan. I call it AOP. It sounds like on-air personnel. Okay, that's OAP. Now, beyond strategy, an annual operating plan is more technical, right? Strategy is about value. You can come up with a strategy, but more technically, all the things you've learned around strategy, goals, objectives for your organization, you can then now develop an annual operating plan as part of your strategic plan. By understanding that it is technical, and what it does is to help you or your organization properly allocate resources. By resources, it could be financial resources, it could be physical resources, it could be personnel resources, human beings. So the annual operating plan, AOP, helps you in that context to allocate resources properly, right? After you've identified the strategies, the goals, the objectives, in such a way that you put in the context of the financial, the strategic, the physical, and the talents, that's the personnel in your organization. So it's very important that we understand that. That annual operating plan is a practical document that helps you to take notes of your financial, remember, physical and personal resources to achieve specific organizational or business or nonprofit goals or whatever it is. It breaks down the day-to-day framework to carry out your objectives. Remember the example of Amusun that we gave, Toby. You can see that we talked about our goals and then our objectives, right? In that sense. But then an annual operating plan, because it would have taken a year. Sometimes, was it Warren Buffett or someone that said that most times human being, our challenge is that we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 10 years. And so with an annual operating plan, you can then break this thing down into years, whether it's, all this goes and it's a 3-year stuff, you can break it down into years. And then, see the day-to-day framework of how you want to carry out those objectives. And so some of the things connected or that you can find inside an annual operating plan, I think I try to download an example so that you can see. But before that, take notes of 5 important things that that are contained that an annual operating plan visualizes. It visualizes the objectives. It also visualizes the business activities. It visualizes the resources required or requirements in that sense. It visualizes your timeline for achieving these objectives in line of resources, right? And then lastly, it visualizes what monitoring method would you use to properly see that you're making progress and self-improve as you are running it, as you are running the plan, right? And then I want us to take note of something, because I see a lot of people, when it comes to research and methodologies, right? People have a challenge understanding monitoring and evaluation, but they are 2 different things, right? Monitoring is a continuous assessment, even whilst the plan is being effected or the project is ongoing. And the question you're asking in monitoring is, am I doing the right things as we proceed in this project? Am I doing the right things? Monitoring. But evaluation is more about efficiency, right? It's more about implication. It's more about relevance of the particular project with the objectives. It's usually done whether mid or post the project. So that's why I mentioned monitoring method as part of the annual operating plan, because it must be consistent, continuous, short-term assessments, right, of the situation of your objective and knowing that you're meeting them in that sense, right? So let me share a sample of what you might consider as an annual operating plan for the sake of, let me do this. Let me stop sharing. Then trying to see. Okay, good. Yes. Okay. Let me share this with you. Good. Please, can you see it? If you can see, just indicate with a yes. Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to be sure that now you can see January, February, March, like that. Let's say April, May, June, July till December, and under January, you can see this is the board's, a sample board's annual operating. You see new board member orientation, right? So you set the strategy, you set the goals, the objectives. Now this is like, framework for carrying out these objectives. Each day, new board member orientation must hold. You must have a strategic planning session, reviewed, you see, specific activities that help you in that context, to achieve those objectives. You can see them. You can see them. This is month of January, that's the month of February, this is the month of March, right? So that is to tell you that it's a simple thing. It's not anything, but like the truth about it is that some of these things you must write it out. Write the vision, make it plain, right? Not just imagine. A lot of us run organizations, and I've seen it over time of doing this and consulting, that a lot of us run organizations in our head, but do not have a template, and if there's anything you pick from this at the end of this all is having a template and how to make that template happen so that, there is a certain level of accountability, communication, as well as you can move faster in terms of what you want to achieve. So that's it. Now, let me now go straight into, let me share this. So let's move to, yes, let's move to the next. So we've exhausted this first unit of Unit 5. Let's now move to the final units, the rounding off units. Yes. And that is writing the strategic plan. Is anyone excited that we finally reached, the end of everything as regards strategic plan? Now, with this, we're going to achieve our learning objectives, as you can see there. And then we're going to then also, if you have your pen and your paper, you might want to take notes, because we're going to be sharing some samples of, strategic plans. And there is no format as such, but I'm going to give you certain pointers you need to have. And there are 5 key things you need to have in your strategic plan. But you can then add other things. Those 5 things also come with sub things or babies in that sense, and we're going to just briefly touch on them. But you're going to see different plans, like 2 or 3, right? And then see that they come in different versions. But for starters, you can start with those few things that I want to mention, right? And you must understand that the strategic plan is not, it's a process. I need to mention that it is not a product, it is what? A process. A process, just like it took us 2 weeks to be able to run through this training and this program. In terms of strategic plan, you must understand that you cannot just, it's a process, because a building block, and you need to lay the foundations right to have that building block correctly, because like the ladies know better, and I like to say, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the makeup artist do? I hope someone is laughing there. So that is being said, right? Let's now look at the 5 key pointers that you need to have in strategic plan, aside the samples that would have other things. Now, first one is what? The executive summary. And that is more like an introductory statement, but it goes beyond it, right? It goes way beyond it, way beyond it. And in that sense, right, an executive summary looks at, the future direction of the company, looks at what the priority of the organization is, and what the organization considers as impacts. Executive summary, the future, priorities, and everything before you write the executive summary. It comes the first page is abstract, yes, the abstract, until you finish writing the whole stuff so that you can properly contextualize what you have written into the abstract, in a summarized manner, right? So the same thing, executive summary, is the first, the abstract comes first, but the executive summary comes first in that context, but then you can write it after you've written all. So executive summary looks at the future, the direction that you're taking as an organization, looks at the prior priorities, and look at the impact you're trying to make. Now, after executive summary or introductory statement, you now look at 2, the mission and the vision, right? The mission and the vision. And we've discussed all that in previous sessions. So I think that should not be a challenge for us. And then thirdly, you look at SWOTs. You look at generally environmental analysis, and we discussed that as well. That's SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, right? You put it down into your strategic plan. If you want to go a step further, you can look at the other one, another environmental analysis who talks about PESTEL. Remember, political, economic, social, technology, legal, environmental, right? But most importantly, you can have SWOT there. Then the fourth thing, which second, is to have your goals, objectives, and strategies. We've discussed that already. Your goal, what metrics? Objectives, how do you want to achieve the metrics? Strategies, you can then now, what value? What is the plan for achieving value, right? Strategies. Now, lastly, you can have some additions, which it could include your financial plan, you include your evaluation, how you want to align your goals in that sense, right? That's the financial plan to the financial situation. What do you have financially? Like I like to say, there are 3 key things in business organization: finance, marketing, and operations. Operation is how you do the business to achieve your value you want to create. The finance is the money you need. Finance can also be resources, goodwill, network, OPM, other people's money, and the likes. Then the marketing, how you make the customer or beneficiary see value as to be willing to pay or willing to receive, right? Marketing. And those are simple. They are very complex things, but as simple as possible for time. And so looking at it carefully, right? Financial plan is to help you align your goals with the financing. What are you buying? What are you selling? What is the projection? Financial plan. Evaluation, which is a sub under the number 5, is what success looks like, right? At the end of the tunnel, what would you consider success? Then you look at staffing too under it. Then you look at operational plan, right? And you know what operation is, like I mentioned. So those are some of the subheadings. So those are the 5 core aspects. 4 main, the 5th one has a lot of babies under it that you look at in terms of developing your, strategic plan. However, for more context, right, that's how simple it can be. So you can have a 1-page strategic plan, you can have a 5-year plan, anyhow you want, but ensure those simple things are there. And as you evolve as an organization, you guys can begin to build on that to develop more robust strategic plans. Now, I'm going to give, I think I downloaded a copy of, can you see strategic plan, 1-page strategic plan? Do you see that? Can you see, if yes, if you can see something called one-page strategic plan? Can you see it, or you're still seeing the old, yes or no? Okay, yes, okay, good. I can thank you so much for your feedback. Now, the 1-page strategic plan, you can have a 1-page, look at it, organization name, employee, your core beliefs, should or shouldn't. Very simple. Why? Targets, all these things are basically around the executive summary, mission, vision, purpose. That's vision, mission, that's your purpose, basically target goals. You can see some of the things we discussed there in it, actually, like that. KPIs, that's your evaluation, right? Core competencies, that talks about SWOTs, right? So basically, it could be as simple as this. It could also be this kind of strategic plan. Let me, let me look for a more elaborate one. Okay, so yes. Let me look at the more elaborate one. Please don't forget your eye on the ball, that those key things that I mentioned can form are the core components, but you can add other things like this 5-year strategic plan. Let me share this one. Yes, it's I hope you can see it, right? Can you see this NELCO? Can you see anything? NELCO. NELCO. This is their 5-year strategic plan. Can you see it, please? I want to confirm that you can see it. Yes, okay, thank you. 5-year strategic plan. You can see under it, they have table of contents, introduction by president, that's the own addendum, but you can see executive summary. You can see mission statement, mission, vision, statement of core values, okay? They added values to it. They added the organization profile and history, right? They added strategic plan. Remember, we talked about strategies, goals, objectives, right? They now put goals, objectives, strategic goals and objectives. Can you see? That's their own approach, and that's where they kept it as simple as that. The other additions where, you don't see so much additions here. You can see introduction by the president, simple executive summary, which you remember, it looks at the future, right? Direction of the company, what are the priorities and what impact. Then strategic plan, that's the strategy. Mission statements, you can see. Core values, they added their own core values to it. They even added organizational history, right? In that sense, that's like, staffing. So there's no one size fit all. You can put it as much as anyhow you want it. You can see goals and objectives, right? Look at their goal 1, to maximize the benefit of membership and efficient use of consortium resources in our organization dedicated to a leadership position in the law library field. These are objectives. These are the objectives, right? These are the objectives. You don't need to put any of this in your head. It's just to understand that, this, the hair, yeah. And then goal B, right? This is the goal, these objectives, goal C, goal objectives. Like they now put in the operational goals, there's operational plan there, remember in the addendum, and then that ends it. You can see, so those core things that they didn't even write a SWOT analysis, right? But when you're writing yours, just take note, executive summary, or introductory statement, mission, vision. It doesn't have to be in the same, it can be in the first, second page, fifth page, whatever. But ensure that some other people might want to go elaborate to mention some other pointers that should be in it, right? Aside those 5 things with addendum that I mentioned, right? That's their choice. And you can have this also, look at this one, the strategic plan template for dummies, introductory statements. That's like executive summary, much more background statement and history, management board and staff, staffing, organizational tenets. That's basically what they stand for: vision, mission, values. You can see SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. You can see major goals there, then specific objectives to it. Then you can see evaluation, right? So this kind of is simple. This is what we call a strategic planning for dummies. Anyways, this like simple, but you can then go elaborate, add other things as your mind allows you to do that. So basically, that is that for that. Always please remember that developing a strategic plan is a process, not just a product. Thank you for listening. Over to you, sir, for questions.
Hi, Timmy.
Over to you, sir, for questions. I seem to.
Yes, thank you very much. If you have any question, please just indicate quickly. And please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the resource person.
Are you close to where you another set? Please go ahead. If you are within the Huyo, please Kuyo, you can move outside so that you can at least take the question. There's a feedback from your end. So while we're waiting for Dr. Hurua, please, is there any other person who has any question from any of the American spaces? Okay, I can see a question right here. What advice would be to someone who feels uncertain about doing what has been written? Written vision. Some of these questions are on the chat box. Then second one, please, I don't understand this one from in a bid to avoid just writing and not doing what has been written. I really don't understand this question. Please, if you could just rewrite it. Okay, I don't seem to see any other question here. Samira, okay, please unmute yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. I just wanted to find out if it was advisable to publish our strategic plan on our website. Is that a good idea?
Thank you.
And will the financial plan be also included in the strategic plan, or just your strategy, goals and objectives, and the organizational profile? Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take one more and then we ask Timmy to please respond to that. American Corner Ikeja 2. Please unmute yourself. American Corner Ikeja 2. I can see your hand up.
Please give us a minute, a second, please.
All right, I can see another one. Many thanks to the resource person who has been able to explain the rubrics of strategic plan.
Ikeja is ready,
what
sir.
is the place? Please let the person wait. Okay. So the question is, what is the place of SMART in a strategic plan? SMART is capital S-M-A-R-T. Probably SMART goals. So Timmy, you might want to take this after the American Corner Ikeja. Ikeja, please go ahead.
What is the difference between the evaluation and projection? That's the question from here, from Ikeja.
Thank you very much. So Timmy, let's go for those 3 questions. Over to you, Timmy. Is it still there? I think we have lost him. I think we have lost him. So we can wait while we're trying to reach out to him.
In progress.
We want to ask this question. For each module, is the certificate for each module? Will the certificate be given separately or in one sheet? One part of the question. The attendance that is 80% required, is it for the whole program? or for each of the modules? Like,
Okay, we'll answer that. What's the question for the speaker? What's the question for the speaker, please?
no, it's not the question for the speaker, it's for you, sir.
Repeat the question for the speaker. The speaker is here now.
Okay, good afternoon once more. The question we are asking from this HR corner here, it's a debate right now. The certificates that requires
I had your
for each of
question.
the module or the whole program combined, and the 80% will it be for the whole program or for each module?
Okay.
The 80% attendance requirements that you stated at the beginning of the program, that was sometime June.
I will explain that to you. But do you have any question for the speaker?
Let me ask any question for the speaker. No, not to him. Okay, we've typed the question to you already, sir.
What is the question?
Difference between evaluation and projection. We
Okay,
sent the
thank you
questions
very
on
much.
the chat box. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Timmy, can you please answer that question?
Didn't get the question, sir.
Difference between evaluation and projection.
Projection. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically, it's just a matter of semantics in that sense, right? When you project, right, it means that you are visualizing in that sense. Event assessment of things in order to come out with whether you have met the objectives or not. So evaluation looks to the past in order to project the future, if that helps in some sense.
So evaluation looks to the past in order to project to the future. Can we quickly go to Oshobo now?
Thank you, sir, for your contribution. Okay. My question is, for example, if as a person, I am trying to start an organization, and at the beginning, I have set my goals and my ambitions, and then I started this organization, and then the members, they actually follow suit. But the problem starts when probably the sponsors of that organization come up with their own goals. Probably the space you are using for your organization, probably you don't have that money yet, or the funding to boost your programs. And then you are lucky to find volunteers and sponsors. And then some actually came up with other goals, and they are imposing about it. They want to impose it on you. So my question is, how can you align your own goals with your sponsor? Because you need money, you need funds. So how can you align it, and how can you manage that type of situation?
Okay.
Yes.
Should I proceed with answering that?
Please go ahead.
Okay,
yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So basically, that's a key question though, but it's very important that I use this question to reiterate that the organization is beyond you, right? And that's where the challenge is. Most times people are always focused about, oh, my organization. But you want to build an organization that outlasts you after you've grown old and made so much impact and money in this world, whatever your goals are. But the point there is we must understand and dissuade our minds from that idea that you are the organization, you have a goal. Rather, you need to start embracing more of shared goals. So if your objective is to get funding, right, your shared goals becomes that of the funders and your team. How do you meet those goals? But the point also is that we must be careful about pursuing funds in a way that, because some organizations don't have specific, vision or mission. So wherever fund is where they go to, and that is dangerous, right? You must be clear as to the impact you want to make. You cannot be in the business of soap making now and decide to use the equipment for soap making to start producing nylon. You understand? No, it won't work. So if you build an organization around the process that produces a certain impact, you don't now start to find ways to bend those processes in order to accommodate funding and the likes. No. But if your organization, the funders you want to get funding from, right, aligns with the impact you want to make, right, in that sense, or similarly aligns, then you can find ways to develop shared goals in order to achieve that funding objective. That is very key. And also we need to dissuade our minds again of you. It's about shared vision, shared mission, shared goals, shared objectives. And that can only happen through collaboration and communication. You are not the organization. You need to dissuade. You started it does not mean, for instance now, a woman gives birth to a child does not mean that the woman is that child. Even when you try to tie the child to your extra string, the reality is that the fact that the child came out of you or was fertilized by someone does not necessarily mean they own the child, because the child will develop a mind of her own or his own and find their own way. So you need to start treating organizations as children that you are birthed, but does not necessarily mean they belong to you solely and they reflect you solely. They must develop their own characteristics, their own vision, their own mission that is distinct from you as they evolve going forward. I hope that helps.
The next, we're going to Port Harcourt. Please unmute yourself while we go to the chat box later.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Many thanks to our resource person. Please, sir, my question is, when it comes to, finance is a critical issue in everything. So if it is possible, I want the resource person to please throw more light about financial plan as a strategic step of strategic planning. Thank you, sir.
Financial planning.
Okay. Thank you.
So after that, I will now, please.
Okay, sir. Can I proceed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, financial planning, like we said, is basically you're looking at how, the goals align to your financial reality. You get financial planning that involves fiscal issues, monetary issues, right? Financial planning. However, there's one distinction I want to make. Financial planning also can involve doing a budget. And financial planning also can be developing financial structures in your annual operating plan. Now, when you are trying to develop financial structures in your annual operating plan, you are outlining company goals, activities, right? But when in relation to financial issues, so for example, we need so and so amount to purchase so and so and so. That is day 5 or day 1. That's what you need to do. Financial structuring as to your goals, activities. But a budget is a plan for accomplishing goals, right? So with a budget, you see your financials, and then you can have a realistic assessment of the limits to your goals. What do you have? Where can you get funding? What do you need to purchase? What do you need? What is your profitability? So you have a realistic limit to what are the assessment of the limits to your goals. So basically, financial plan can help you provide financial structure or budget, and it can help you in that sense to align your goals to the fiscal or monetary realities that are around you in that sense. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. From Abuja, he said, sir, what you said, that strategic planning is a process and not a product. What does that mean, please?
Okay, sir. So strategic planning being a process, not a product, is like when a woman is fertilized, right? In biology, she develops the embryo and all that. And then it takes a certain period of months before the child is born. That child is a product, but that child is a product of a process. So in order to birth strategic plan as a child, right, it has to go through a certain process. It takes time. You have to first develop those things that we've done over the weeks, your vision, your mission, your values. You need to take time into doing those things first before you now aggregate them into your strategic plan. That's what it means. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Let me quickly attend to the question about attendance, about certificates. Our intention actually is to give everybody access to these valuable resources. But in order to encourage participants, we decided to bring certificates. And one of the things that we are trying to do with certificates is actually to make sure that people are not just joining virtually. I've been in meetings where you just log in, and after you've logged in, you can continue your activities, and at the end of the day, you claim that you are part of that program or that whatever. And so from the very beginning, for all our virtual programs that we have attached certificates to, we require you to be in American spaces physically. The only exception is when you have no access to that space. For instance, some weeks ago we had holiday, and so we had to have members join from home. And also for places like Enugu and Oka that could not meet on Monday, they also could join virtually. And we're giving them how to join. Aside from that, any other person can also join from home. I have somebody who is joining right now from Ibadan, but she could not get to any of the American spaces, and she does not need any certificate. All she needed is just the knowledge. So anyone is welcome to join from anywhere in the country or even outside the country. Once you are interested in it, it's a free session paid for, arranged by the US government. So in terms of certificates, we have different courses, and we do not envisage that everyone will be interested in all the courses. So we're not going to give you certificates, a lump kind of certificate. we're going to give individual session related certificates. So if you attend the strategic planning session, we're going to give you certificate for that session. Other sessions that you are not there, of course, you will not receive any certificate for it. And in terms of percentage of attendance, for instance, this is a 4 session, 2-week training course. We expected you to at least be present 3 out of 4, which is 75%. If it is 6 sessions or 5 sessions or 2 sessions, we want you to, work it out yourself. But there are some cases where we discover that because of rain or something, so we will use our judgment. Instead of taking the 80%, we can lower it down to 50%, depending on the situation. All we're trying to do is just to make sure that, we're not just giving the certificates for the sake of it. Because once you begin to do that, you hear the news will go around and say, just go there and or just pretend to be online and just log in, you have your certificates, just like we do on some of these Udemy and Coursera platforms. You just put the thing on and you are there playing around, and at the end of the day, the certificate is ready. We don't want that for these courses. And for those who have been attending, you can see the quality that we're bringing to the table. And that's exactly what we want to encourage. I hope that answers your questions and concerns. Ikeja and some other people who have asked the questions. Then finally on that, many of you said, and I've heard this also, and I have Shobo with me here, people said they do not have access to the WhatsApp group. The process is go on our Facebook page, and I will just quickly show you that right away. If you go on our Facebook page, there's a link there, which, and I'm also using the opportunity to let you know that most of these things that we're sharing with you are also available on our Facebook page. All programs that we're announcing, they're on our Facebook page. I believe all of us can see my screen. Can you see my screen? American Center, can you see my screen? Please wave your hand so that I'm sure you can. Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. You can see right there, there's a posting from the Education USA right here in Lagos. They posted a scholarship alert, $10,000 per academic session. We do share this. We also could see right here, Speak with a Diplomat we had, the recording is there, and then some other events of things that are going on within the American spaces in the country. But if you go down, you will see the announcement for this program, which is this. It says right here, registration commences immediately at bit.ly/NGOOE workshop, all in caps. Once you register there, Shobo will pick it up and send you an invite to join the WhatsApp group. It's as simple as that. And once you're on it, you will get up-to-date information about these courses. We want you to please help us to be able to help you. I hope that answers for your question. I will now go back to Timmy to please give us his parting shot. Timmy, over to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Are there still questions we can take, sir? Since today is the final.
It depends on you. Okay.
Yes.
You still want to take questions? All
yes,
right.
because since I came late. Yes, sir.
All right. I can see who you're here. I can see Timileyin. Timileyin, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm new in the midst in the group, and I'm trying. I've been enjoying myself here. I was directed by one of my mentor to come for this training. So I have not gotten any place in Lagos. I stay in VI. I've not gotten any center so that I could join. And about what you just said, finish that the WhatsApp, the Facebook link. I don't know how we can dive into there and just to explore more in it because I'm new, sir.
Okay, I will post the link to the Facebook page. Look for that advert and then just follow it. There's a link right now. I'm posting it right now. Just go there.
Okay, sir.
And
sir, how do I know my center, sir? How do I know my center, sir?
It's also there on that list.
Okay.
There is a link there which says all the American Spaces location in Abeokuta. Okay, let me also pick that and also share with everybody. It's right here. American Spaces. I'm also posting that right away.
Okay,
so if you can get in there, you will see all the locations right there. bit.ly/American Spaces location. So you find your location right there. The map is there, and then you are able to know exactly where we are. Is there any other question? All right, let's go straight to Uyo. Uyo, please unmute yourself. Uyo, we can't hear you. You are muted already. Please try and all right, since we cannot get you, if you can just type it in. Is there any other person? Any other person? All right. Timmy, over to you.
Oh, okay, sir. You mean no questions, right?
No, I can't find any here again.
Okay. Then it's done with. If there are no questions. Oh, I think I can see a question here. It says,
Okay.
I want to ask advice will be, I didn't get that context. I think it is after that, the question after, I think it's a question, the person wrote question. Victoria.
There's a question here.
Victoria Oyegusi also.
Okay, where is it? This question. Okay, there's another one here.
Okay, sir. I want to
we're still expecting the video or chat for the previous lecture. And we love to have same for today's class. All right. For those of us who really love to have all the materials, you will get it on that WhatsApp group. We've posted all that. So if you are not there, if you are not properly registered, you will not have access. That's why it's free there. We can't help you if you cannot register. If you have done so before and you have not been getting anything, register all over again. Okay? Uyo is still trying. Uyo, we can't hear you. Uyo? Let's try again. Uyo, can you speak up? We're only seeing your mouth moving. We can't hear you. It's at your end. I would have loved to hear what you're saying. Okay, I've seen it. What's the place of SMART goals in a strategic plan? Thank you very much. So Timmy, the question is, what's the place of SMART goals in a strategic plan?
Okay, so the place of SMART goals is simple. It is to ensure that your objectives are clear and clearly defined, are attainable, and have a time frame, so that you're not just, so once you're setting out objectives, you're able to see, is this SMART? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Does it have a time frame for achieving them? So that's the essence, to be able to ensure that you can benchmark your objectives in a way that is clearly defined within a certain time frame. That's why. Yes. I think I still
All right, thank you very
that
much.
question, sir, from one Victoria. If there's Victoria Oyegbusi there, I think maybe you type the question. I don't know.
Victoria,
then there's a
Victoria,
question
Victoria.
from another Victoria Oyegbusi. Yeah. I see question on self-doubt and I see question on writing down.
Okay, go ahead with them.
You can unmute, or you can unmute, Whichever is the most appropriate. I see question on self-doubt and question
If
on...
you raise your hand, I will unmute you, but I can't even see this.
Hands.
Yes, I can see. Okay, Victoria, okay.
Okay.
Please unmute yourself now.
All right, thank you very much. It's Victoria Ayegusi. Thank you very much, our resource person and the moderator. I'm grateful. Okay, my question is, the tendency is there to write down things and not really carry them out. It's possible to have a strategic plan and not follow through. What's your advice, sir?
When you have a strategic plan and not follow through, why? Can I ask you, why would you not follow through? Is it that you don't believe in it, or you have some doubts about it, or what are other reasons? I want to quickly identify. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, all right. Well, can you hear me, Victoria?
We can hear you.
Okay. Well, anyways, since I can't hear Victoria.
Okay, sorry, I was unable to unmute myself again. I'm sorry about that. Okay, what if you have something to do, but there's no passion for it? And even if there is something written down, there's no passion to go for it. There's no drive. I don't know.
In other words, let's say you doubt the goals that you've written down. You're not sufficiently driven to achieve them. Well, okay, good.
They are possible.
Yes. So basically that happens, right? It's very, but this is more of the personal goals. That's what you're talking about. What we are dealing with is more organizational goals. So in order to reduce doubt or lack of passion in goals, one thing is key. You must understand that the only permanent thing is change. You can't step into is there Eclatis that says that you can't step into a moving river.
It was to it.
Which means that you need to review those goals together with the team over time. Second thing is that the goal must be collaborative. Whenever it's a shared goal, not just your goal. Others do not see it as a burden. So at the level of management or mid-management, that's the intersection between top management and the staff, you might need to have a shared goal so they can communicate it to the team. Do you understand? That's key. And then on a personal level, although this is not about personal goals, but I think there are a few things that I can relate with on a personal level when I have some measure of self-doubt as to setting goals, in that sense.
Yes,
First
sir.
thing is to outline what you consider uncertain about the goal. You know, what do I want to achieve? Why am I uncertain about it? That's the first key thing you need to do. Second thing is to break down what you call psychological walls. So you have to sense that you might exaggerate what the situation is.
Hi, Timmy.
You need to be your own genius, right? The third thing is to recall previous accomplishments.
I'm sorry, sir. I lost you there. You said I should you said breaking down psychological walls.
Walls or barriers. Do you understand what that
All right.
means? Yes.
Can you elaborate, please?
Okay, so basically, you know, sometimes we have a tendency to exaggerate what the problem is.
Okay.
So it's important to identify what really is the problem. Why am I uncertain about this particular goal? Does it make sense to feel this way? Right? In other words, you're looking at what are the real issues as against what you're exaggerating or what your mind has seen to, you know, be the key issue. Sometimes in writing down these things, you tend to then see through it as, wow, this is a non-issue. It's not as big as I thought it was. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now,
Yes,
the
sir.
thing is to recall prior accomplishments. There's times when you set goals as an individual and then you accomplish them, right? So sometimes you have to reflect back on the past. It's just like in the place of faith, you know? You look at what God in that context has done for you in the past, and then you say, oh, if God did A, B, C for me, he can do this. That's the same thing David did. He recalled past accomplishments in killing Goliath. He first looked at, he has killed a lion and a bear, right? But this is not a Quranic or biblical class. But the point there is the fact that you can recall pro accomplishments, right? Which can help you to inspire self-confidence, right? That's the third thing. Then you need to find valuable clarity. You need to be clear, you know, and that is simply asking the question, what's required for me to feel certain about this thing? What do I need to increase my self-confidence about this thing? You need to outline them. Then you can then now try to develop a plan for it. Say, ask yourself the question, how could I turn obstacles to potential opportunities? Right? Because sometimes these things that you think are key issues are not key issues. Then lastly, you know, you might then also find a compelling reason. That is, what do I stand to gain? Because human nature is driven by profitability or profits. So sometimes you need to ask yourself, what do I stand to gain by following through with this goal? And remind yourself clearly of what you stand to gain. When you do these things, your tendency for self-doubt and lack of passion consistently reduces until it becomes, it evaporates.
Okay.
Yes, so a level on personal growth and development, you know, but, you know, I hope it helps you and someone other person.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm grateful.
It helps. It helps. Thank you. I have about 3 more questions here.
Okay, sir.
The first one is from, just 1 minute. Can we have the sample of the strategic planning viewed earlier on the screen as the first one? The second one is, it's a long one. Then it's just scrolling up on its own. Okay. It says, with regards to the competition analysis chart, is cooperative analysis preferred to use than collaborative analysis? And then the third one from PMA, It says, sir, I run an NGO fully registered and located in Lagos. Having gone through these training sessions on NGO, I realized I could have done some things better than the way I've handled them. Is there a number I can call for some directions as I try to follow what we have been taught on setting up an NGO, please? All right,
Well,
those are the three last questions.
okay, sir. So basically, yes, you get the sample, the strategic plan. Yes, I could easily share it so that it can get to everyone. I could easily share it to this. You get it. Then secondly, the second question doesn't seem clear to me because I must be frank. I don't know what you mean by cooperative analysis, right? Yes, there's competitive analysis, and we say competitive analysis. Remember the last class could also.
Sorry,
if you,
please. Hello.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
sorry to cut you. The competitive analysis you raised, you talked about competition, and one of us asked last class that for non-profits, competition is not usually something that we talk about or encourage. So you propose something like a collaboration, but from my own research, we use the term cooperation. So that's why I asked you, should cooperation analysis be preferred to describe it than collaboration as you proposed?
You can describe it anyhow you desire. That's not even important. You know, what is important is that the process that is involved, you know, the very key process around competitive analysis or cooperative analysis or whatever analysis you might call it, is what is important here, and that you apply that process to your day-to-day organizational life. That's what matters. I hope that helps.
I think so.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So any parting shot from you, sir?
No, sir. Thank you. I just want to say thanks for the privilege to share with everyone. The questions also have shown a consistency at following through. It's not easy to sit down in a class for 2 hours plus for a particular session. That seems a bit ambiguous, strategic, but then I'm glad that we were able to pick the practicality of it and can apply it for our lives. Thanks to the American Corner for making this happen, and the U.S. Consulate, Lagos, for doing wonders. And AC too. Yes. Sir.
Thank you very, very much. Let's put our hands together for Timmy. Thank you very, very much. Somebody sent a direct question to me, wanting to know what is next. The next session is on board development. Osai, who started the session on the starting an NGO, actually started discussing that in the last session before this one. So she is going to have the next 2 sessions, that's Monday and Thursday next week, to conclude on board development. I will encourage you to attend this because many of us you just pick board members of your NGOs anyhow. I want to encourage you to please attend this session. If you have attended a session starting an NGO, I will encourage you to please follow up on this and come for the session Monday and Thursday. Let me also say this, for those of you who are in Lagos, around Victoria Island, or you are near the Lagos Island, and you want to come to the American Center in Lagos, we are giving them special treatment here. We're giving them certain things which I will not mention on here. So if you want to come and participate from our hand here, you're welcome. The only thing you need to do is to make sure you come with your identity card, government issued identity card. And library opens from 9 o'clock, and you can also stay back till 3 p.m. We're now open Monday to Thursday. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming on today's event. And I believe that you have all been empowered. And we hope you will join us on Monday. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you very much. We're still clapping. People are still clapping here at the American Center. We're still clapping here. Thank you very much for the clap. Bye-bye, everybody.